Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a rainy Wednesday, presented by Trademark Financial Credit Union. And I am straight off the practice bubble, and I got notes for you, baby. I got all kinds of depth chart notes. Fran Duffy is here to listen in. Zack Berman will hopefully join us in a little bit. He's watching the end of practice, and then we'll talk to some assorted players after practice is over. We talked to Kevin Patullo for the first time earlier today. We'll get to all of that. But Fran, we like to poo-poo the spring a little bit, but the first spring practice, when you get to see these guys for the first time, you get to see some depth chart machinations. I gotta tell you, I was a little excited. It was fun.
Yeah, you got the itch a little bit.
I got a little bit of the itch. I got enough of the itch that I would like to see this again next week. You know what I mean? I could sort of use a nice on-ramp, like once a week. Give me some practice, give me some notes. But, Zack likes to always talk about what it's like at practice in the summer with you and I watching practice together. Maybe this can be sort of a representation of that. And it's as if you are blind and I'm just telling you what's happening, and then we can still have the same conversations.
I like that. All right. So let me ask you this. First off, when you were out there, what was the rain situation? What was the weather situation?
It was raining, so that's why they're in the bubble.
Got it. Okay.
Raining pretty heavy. There's all the reporters waiting to get let inside at first. And, some people have umbrellas. Some people have raincoats. Some people are just raw dogging it and just willing to get rained on. I went raincoat today.
Okay.
So I feel okay. The pants got a little bit wet, but not too bad.
All right.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the bubble, it's a little bit different than than outside. There's a little bit less space. Everybody's jammed in the corner. And this is a real, if you really want to pay attention to the Eagles beat writers and see who separates the wheat from the chaff, this is a great day to do it. Who is able to see everything? See a lot, see a little, see a little, see a lot. But in a setting like this, how much can you take in? Can you see who is there? Can you see who's lining up where? Who's changing spots? Who looks good? And so I'm going to start, Fran. I'm going to take you through the objective first.
Okay.
And then after that, we can talk about a few, subjective first glance takes on some takes. In this situation, I think the objective is the most important stuff. Okay. So very first, attendance-wise, guys who you would expect to not be there today, Cooper DeJean and Jihaad Campbell walked off right before practice started. Lane Johnson's not there. No big surprise there. DeVonta Smith not there. He did the same thing last spring.
Right.
AJ was there and only did individuals, did not participate in team drills. I don't think that you want him necessarily participating in team drills. Landon Dickerson not there, coming off an off-season surgery. And then some of the interesting ones who are not there. Bryce Huff, not in attendance today. Avery Williams, maybe the secret. They really want it. It is such a buttoned-up secret. They can't even afford to tell you whether he's wearing a green jersey or a white jersey, or what position he's with. They're keeping him locked up like Hannibal Lecter, and then week one they're going to unveil him and let you know what position he's playing. Ben Van Sumeren also coming off an injury, and I think that's it. Yeah. Oh no, one more. Reed Blankenship not there.
Got it.
I don't know if he's podcasting hard and just, hitting the pavement trying to get elite guests at the expense of practicing, or maybe it's wedding prep of some kind, but he was not there today. And that will affect what I will tell you about the safety rotations here.
Or contract related?
They should talk about it on the show. Could be. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Let's get to the depth chart stuff.
Okay.
What is most interesting to you? Would you like to talk offensive line or secondary first?
No, I would like secondary first.
Secondary first. Okay.
Secondary primary.
Secondary is interesting because there's a lot of moving parts. Early in practice, it was a lot of moving parts. I'm going to start with this. Quinyon Mitchell, all of his reps today, Fran, on the left side.
Oh, very interesting.
We play all the time on the right side last year, obviously opposite Darius Slay. Today, all of his work at left corner. What might that be about?
All right. So there's a couple things. First off, Quinyon was mostly a right corner in college as well. So that's very interesting. Second, there is a school of thought that at left corner, and this is like minute stuff. But at left corner, you are on the quarterback's right side. With most quarterbacks being right-handed, you want your left corner to be a little more reactive, a little like so like you almost think of it as the difference between Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown, right? Sheldon was more your big physical, like where Lito was like your mirror match, like quick twitch, like fast flow to the football. Lito more your left corner, Sheldon more your right corner. That was you typically want the faster guy to be the twitchier, like more reactive player to be on the left side if you had your druthers. But we are talking like very minute.
This was Asante Samuel's big thing, is that he advocated to move to the left side because he knew the balls came that way more often, and he would have more chance to intercept it. So not only do you need to be a little bit more reactive because the ball comes out quicker, the quarterback is not having to turn his shoulder to throw that way, but also theoretically, you have a more chance. You won't want to go with better ball skills there.
In theory. And so that to me, what that also speaks to, and this is something that you, Zach, and Daniz talked about last week, was the difference potentially with Vic Fangio's usage of Quinyon Mitchell and the cornerback group in general this year. With last year, depending on the game, like there were times where they rolled safety help over Quinyon, and there were times where they rolled safety help over the Slay. They didn't favor either one over the course of the large sample of the season. I wonder now if this year, could we see more switching of sides where it's like, all right, like, hey, on this third down, we're actually going to put Quinyon over to the right side because he's going to, that's where Jamar Chase is, and we're going to roll coverage the other way. I think that's going to be interesting to watch now.
Okay, so this is very interesting. And obviously, this is the time to try it, right? And so let's see how he does there. But I thought that was a very interesting start. Now, note number 2 about the secondary. They did a little bit of base, and when they were in base, Cooper DeJean was the right corner. So Cooper DeJean was bouncing inside, outside. I mean, they were in nickel more often, and he was in the nickel. But when they were in base, which is sort of what we expected, but they checked this box, he went to the outside. So that's the note there. No surprise, right?
Yeah, I would say that's expected. And if memory serves, I think Cooper, when he played outside at Iowa, was mostly the left corner. I can check my notes on that, but I think he mostly played left. So a little bit of an adjustment for him as well. Okay.
As for that third corner spot, in the beginning of practice, before they got to team drills, when they were just doing defensive stuff and 7-on-7s, it was actually Adoree Jackson at right corner and not Kelee Ringo. But then when they went to full team drills, which was, a very abbreviated session, but I think that was the more realistic reflection of where things stand at the moment, it was Kelee Ringo at the outside. And so both of those players competing, it seems like, head-to-head at right corner. And I think it is a good reflection of where things stand everywhere in the secondary, that they are really mixing and matching these things. And so, obviously this is the first quarter mile of a marathon in terms of this competition, but those two guys still sort of jockeying back and forth.
Yeah, would you say Adoree, with him getting the first reps of the day there, that he's got the pole position, or do you think that it's kind of like?
I would give, if I'm talking pole position, I would give the edge to who was with the team in team drills and not who got the first reps of the day.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll see if it changes for next week.
Right. Would you agree if you were?
I think so.
I think who's with the team in teams is more important.
I'm trying to remember. It was it last year? Was it the Isaiah Rodgers? I'm trying to remember. There was a year where they did this, where it was a constant rotation at corner, and it was like throughout the day changed.
Yeah, I think it was last year, which makes sense because it's Vic running things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you have with the starters at corner.
Okay.
At safety with the starters, more mixing and matching. Now, remember, no Reed Blankenship today. And so in team drills, it started as Sidney Brown and Andre Sam, which is interesting.
Okay.
But then with the ones, Andrew Mukuba and Triston McCollum rotated in with that same group. In the very beginning of practice, we saw Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba together. That was the first rep of the 7-on-7s. Now,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So in team drills, the pairs, they rotate by pairs,
Yep.
were Sidney Brown and Andre Sam, and then Mukuba and Triston McCollum. But in 7-on-7s, it started with Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba. Then it became Sidney Brown and Triston McCollum and Mukuba and Andre Sam working together. And so that is like obviously completely fluid. The one thing that I think is worth noting there is that Lewis seen a drop below. He was working. He was unseen. He was rotating with the twos a couple times, but he does not appear to be jockeying for immediate playing time right now, which is reasonable. They haven't seen him on the field, and I would venture to guess that if Reed Blankenship were here, it would have been Reed and Sidney Brown to start, and then maybe Sidney would have been rotating with Mukuba or somebody else.
This almost runs parallel to the linebacker usage from training camp last year, where it was just now. To your point, though, once Reed Blankenship's in there, Reed's gonna. I don't think that they'll be rotating.
Reed's not rotating.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be. We'll see the circus there from that point on. That'll be fascinating to see next week.
I will give you a quick subjective on Mukuba. I mean, this was expected, but he's a little slight.
Yeah.
He moves smooth though. That's what I would say.
All right. How about the overall demeanor in practice? Did you feel his presence in the 15 minutes that you were around him?
No.
Okay.
No. He gave up a catch to Dallas Goedert at one point in zone coverage, but that's good for him. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then linebacker, contra linebacker last year and safety this year, no rotation with the ones. Zack Baun, Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Okay. Interesting.
And then there were rotations with the twos. Not unexpected. Yeah. And then there were rotations with the twos. And I would say Smile Mondon Jr., there's a guy who does look the part. He's compared to the other linebackers who are out there today, he looks the part. And we're talking Dallas Gant and a few other guys.
Yeah, and obviously this is a group that's without, as you mentioned, no Campbell, no Dean. So if you're going into the season, into the heart of the preseason with Baun, Campbell, Dean, Trotter, and Smile as your fifth guy, you feel good about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you like to flip over to the offensive line for depth chart?
I would love to flip over to the offensive line for
okay. And this is what it's all about. This is
in your wheelhouse. This is it.
We've just been building up. That was foreplay. Yep. This is the main thing. Now, no Lane Johnson, no Landon Dickerson.
Okay.
So that colors things a lot, but there are a few really interesting nuggets here. So considering that, would you like to take a guess at what the first team offensive line was? Oh, and I also need to mention Cam Jurgens there, but not practicing because he is also coming off injury. So you're missing 3 starting offensive linemen. So this is difficult, but this is like your first play of Wordle. It's a 5-letter word. Let's see how many greens you can get.
All right. So Mailata at left tackle.
Green.
Would say, what's that?
Green. That's correct.
Okay. Green. All right. Thank you. Left guard. I would say, let's say left guard Tyler Steen.
I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'll give you the green, yellow.
Left guard Tyler Steen. Center, I'm going to say that they're not giving it to Kendall right off the bat, so I'm going to say Brett Toth at center, and then right guard Kenyon Green, right tackle. Let's go with Darian Kennard.
Green, yellow, green, gray, green. So,
oh wow! All right, that's a pretty good first guess.
You did very well. Yeah, you have a chance to get this in 2 because that means. So let's say that again. Yeah. Green, Jordan Mailata, left tackle, Brett Toth at center.
Yep.
Darian Kennard at right tackle.
Yep.
Tyler Steen, not at left guard, but rather at right guard.
That was the right guard.
Do you want to make a guess as to the other left guard?
Left guard. Let's go Matt Pryor.
Matt Pryor, that's correct. Oh, an eagle for you. You get it in 2. Nice job on the word. So. Pryor working exclusively at left guard. Tyler Steen working exclusively as the first team right guard today. Darian Kennard, I think this is what you would expect. The whole reason he was on the team and carried for so long last year was to be the swing tackle of the future. So you hit that. That's good. Now, here's what's very interesting, Fran. Second team right guard. Not Kenyon Green. But Trevor Keegan. Kenyon Green working at left guard.
Okay.
Which does not disqualify him by any means.
No.
That is where Mekhi Becton worked last year, if you remember. Mekhi Becton in the spring was the second team left guard, and it was that was different because it was okay. They're working this guy at guard. That tells you something, but they're not setting this up like a direct competition just yet. And I also think this is good for Trevor Keegan because he worked exclusively at left guard last year. You want to see him develop the versatility to play both positions. So that's good from a player development standpoint. And then the rest of that second team offensive line, you had Miles Hinton at left tackle, Drew Kendall at center, and Kendall Lamb at right tackle. And then because I know you're a sicko, you want to know about the third team offensive line. And there are some interesting position things here. So because they're down some guys, Drew Kendall stays on the field as the third team center, and Miles Hinton stays on the field as the third team left tackle. Laken Vakalahi is turning into a guard now. He's the third team left guard, so that's fun.
Okay.
And it is interesting because, I mean, he's 6'5", 320, but given all the guys they brought in, he is a little bit smaller. And so he does need to move to guard. And then Holland Pierce, ya boy, right guard. And then Cameron Williams at right tackle. So I think Holland Pierce at guard at 6'8", 341 is an interesting project to watch as well.
A lot there. So Kenyon Green played 4 out of 5 positions along the offensive line when he was at Texas A&M. When he was coming out of college, his versatility was a strong suit. But with the Houston Texans over 3 years, only played left guard. So I wonder if it's like, hey, you know what? Like, we're not going to throw him in, wiping his butt with his other hand to start things off. Let's bring him in, put him in his his position that he's comfortable in right now, while he's getting acclimated a little bit, and we'll see if they try and move him off of that. So to your point about Mekhi Becton being at left guard this time a year ago, I think that'll be something to track certainly moving forward.
All right, do we have Zach? Because I think we can have Zach for about 5 minutes before he runs to availability. We might as well bring him on and see what there he is.
Hello, good to see you guys.
Good to see you, my friend. All right, we time is of the essence here. You've got to run to availability. So give us your 5-minute big takeaways. I've gone over some of the objective stuff, the depth chart stuff, and the attendance stuff. Tell us what were your big takeaways, and then we can unpack that after you leave.
Yeah, so the first thing I was curious to see was the passing game. And I got to say, without A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith out there, it was very much a horizontal passing game, right? Shallow passes, dump offs, things of that nature. Really didn't go downfield much. Darius Cooper had the biggest play downfield among the wide receivers. For the Tarleton State viewers out there, that's Darius Cooper, the undrafted rookie from Tarleton State Texans.
Well, the Tarleton State viewers would be the only ones who know who that is.
Yeah, sure, that is true. They had situational work at the end of practice. So there was a 3rd and 14, I believe, from the 24-yard line. And first down was a pass to Jahan Dotson across the middle. It wasn't a first down, but it set up. It was an 8-yard gain, I believe. So yes,
throw the parade.
But no, overall, I know you went over the depth chart nuggets. I was listening in a bit. It stood out. I would say that, I mean, Adoree Jackson was the first one up a corner, but I think that's more of the veteran, like tip of the cap to the veteran. It was interesting seeing during individual work, Cooper DeJean taking work with the safeties, individual work before practice. And then you saw Cooper DeJean on the outside at one point in base. So Cooper's playing all over the field, which is obviously something that we would expect to see. The offensive line, Bo covered it well. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., like we expected, was there with the first teamers. Alex Hunt showed a little pop coming around the edge, like we expected, taking that jump year 2. But no, from an attendance perspective, obviously missing a lot of high-profile players. I was hoping to see Avery Williams was not out there. And maybe the biggest takeaway, and again, I know you've probably given this qualifier, this is voluntary, but Bryce Huff's not present. And you think about the James Bradbury situation last year. I've been making that comparison throughout the spring, and James Bradbury wasn't here for the voluntary portion a year ago either. So you don't know if this is because of if there's something going on personally with him, or if there's frustration with his role, whatever it may be. But certainly when we're out here next week, I'm curious to see if Bryce Huff is back.
Yeah, I'm not super surprised. Like if I was going to have to pick one player who was going to not show up to voluntary work, it probably would have been Bryce Huff, don't you think?
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy Kemsky. That's what he said before practice. He's like, I bet Bryce Huff's not here. And I asked him, like, is that something you knew? And he said no. He just kind of it was for the same reason you just said, Bo. But he's someone who you would think needs to be here unless he's trying to make a statement. Like if Lane Johnson's not out here, if DeVonta Smith's not out here, you're not making a huge deal about it, right? But Bryce Huff is someone who, if he's going to have a role on this team, you need to see improvement this spring and summer relative to last year.
Zach, what do you make of Reed Blankenship not being out there? Anything through the grapevine there?
No, I mean, I hope he explains it on his podcast, The Exciting Mics, which you can find on the PHLY Sports channel and the Exciting Mics channel. And but no, I mean, I know Reed's been around. I know he's getting married next month, next month starting in June. So he's getting married in July.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he was picking out wedding invitations. I have no idea. Actually, the invitations are probably out by now. So that's
Gotta get your hand on one of those.
Yeah, that joke really buckled. No, I haven't heard anything through the grapevine there. Good question.
Okay. We will probably not talk to you again before the end of the episode, Zach. So why don't you give us your quick thoughts on the Kevin Patullo press conference?
Yeah, very professional up there, right? Very smooth. Like the moment, not to say that an offensive coordinator press conference is like a White House press conference, or I should pick a different analogy there. But I'm saying it wasn't like he handled it with a plum. He was articulate up there. He was thoughtful. He wasn't overly detailed. Gave a few good anecdotes, but he was very comfortable up there. And I look forward to getting a chance to speak to him each week this season.
Okay, well said, Zach. We know you got to get going, so we look forward to hearing from you after the show about what you learned from the players today. But enjoy. Always good to see you.
You too. Thanks, guys.
See you, Zach.
All right, let's take a quick break to hear from some sponsors, and then we'll come back with more thoughts. We start with Bet365, which, as you know, has 90 million users worldwide. Bet365 live streams 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. If you want to join Bet365, there's a great deal for new customers. What's the deal? Well, you get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get that $150 in bonus bets again, win or lose. Breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I was making a drive out to Lansdale yesterday afternoon and drove past going down 309. Saw the TrueMark Financial Credit Union over on my right side. You need to know, if you're working from home, it's time to stop calling plays from the couch, because with a TrueMark Financial HELOC Select you could tap into your home's equity and finally upgrade that home office. You can build out a better space or just finish the projects that you've been putting off. You know the deal with the HELOC Select. You've got that great low rate, flexible access, low rates, no penalties if you pay it off early. Visit TrueMark.com/PHLY to apply and turn your work from home game into a winning play. Terms and conditions apply. Visit TrueMark.com/HELOC for details. Federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Also, we're going to let you know about a great event going on with TrueMark Financial Union. Get ready to paddle up for a great cause. Join the TrueMark Financial Cares Foundation for a pickleball happy hour fundraiser. It's happening Thursday, June 12th. It's a couple weeks from now, 2 weeks from tomorrow, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's at Dill Dinkers out in Lansdale. Proceeds support financial education and community development in your local area, all while having some serious fun. Come early for registration at 3:30, and it's followed by a fun-filled round-robin pickleball tournament, competitive or just for fun. It's not a big deal about playing. No worries. Come enjoy Humpty's Dumplings, local tap beer, fun games like cornhole, ping pong. You have raffles. There's a 50-50 drawing, prizes, and more. For details or to register, visit TrueMark.com/PHLY. Don't miss the fun, pickleball, community, and a whole lot of deliciousness.
Nice. And by the way, just if you are getting so excited for the football season, hearing about Quinyon Mitchell playing left corner, and you're thinking, I want to watch these Eagles, I want to watch them in person, but I want to do it on the road. Obviously, the best place to do that is going to be at Lambeau Field. It's coming up, and you can win a trip, all expenses paid, flight, hotel, tailgate, game, just by entering at Philly Sports Trips, the partnership with PHLY. allphy.com/PSTFansweeps for more contest rules, eligibility requirements, and to enter, visit allphy.com/PSTFansweeps. And if you want to learn more about Philly Sports Trips, check out phillysportstrips.com. Okay. Let me look through my notes. And, this is, so it's indecipherable a little bit, but we got to do what we got to do. What are you curious about? And I'll tell you what I have as I cycle through here. I want to stick with the objective first.
All right, objective first.
Here's an interesting thing. Zach mentioned the individuals. I think the Cooper at safety thing might have been just there were a couple of different groups of defensive backs that he was cycling with. And there was one point with the linebackers where it looked like Josh Uche was with the linebackers, but then they broke up and it looked like he was mostly with the outside guys. Okay. But that reminds me from a depth chart standpoint. No Nolan Smith. He's there. He's got the bionic arm thing going on, but he's not practicing in team drills. And so opposite Jalen Hunt, probably what you would expect, but Jalen Hunt on the left side, Azeez Ojulari on the right side with the first team defensive line.
So Jalix was at left defensive end.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a new spot for him.
Yes.
All right.
And Azeez on the right side.
One depth chart thing I'm interested in. No DeVonta, no AJ. What was the wide receiver pecking order?
They're cycling through guys, but if you go by the pecking order, it went and this is based off like how they're lining up in individuals, which is often reflective. It's Dotson, then Aniyah Smith, then Danny Gray, and then who's 42? 42 is Giles Jackson. So, yeah. So that is not super reflective. I think the top of it is. I thought that this is going into its objective. I thought Terrace Marshall was going to look bigger, just as a guy who went as high as he did. He was. I don't know. I know he's not. I know he was way down in your order of that draft class, but
yes.
Okay, let me look through here for other objective things.
QB.
Oh, this is interesting. QB pecking order. I mean, Hurts, McKee, and then it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson gets the first reps, but they both worked in.
Yep, sure.
With the third team, and there were, reps were spare.
Yes.
In this setting, Mac McWilliams, where is he going to play? For now, just on the outside. Did not get any reps inside on this first practice. The guys working in the nickel after Cooper DeJean were Perry Nickerson, as you might expect. And then who's the other one here? Let me find it. 39. That is AJ Woods. AJ Woods is the third team nickel.
Was Mac McWilliams at right corner or left corner?
He was at left corner.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, I know we saw with Kelee Ringo, but just all the way back to Asante Samuel, an Eagles corner in dreads in 22 looks great. All is right with the world.
All right. So we talked linebacker. I mean, I don't know that there's that many. You mentioned
Actually, McWilliams, I think, was working on both sides. Because in team drills, I have him on the right side, and then in 7-on-7s, I have him on the left side.
What was the interior defensive line or pecking order looking like?
So you had in base at the beginning, so it was Ujima, Jordan Davis at the nose, and then Thomas Booker was in there.
All right.
And then when they went to the second team, you have 59 is Booker and 94 is Byron Young. And then with the third team, it was Gabe Hall and Ty Robinson.
Got it.
So Ty Robinson behind Byron Young and Thomas Booker at the moment.
I would say the most notable thing for that is Booker getting, like, quote unquote outside reps, like getting more of the Jalen Carter reps as opposed to just nose tackle reps. That is good for his value potentially for making the 53.
I'll sneak in a subjective here on Ty Robinson. Very wide body. I don't know if you thought the same when you saw him in person. And this is maybe too easy because he's wearing 95, but I was expecting him, because of the way he tested, to look more like an athletic build of a defensive tackle. He looked like more Marlon Tuipulotu to me.
Okay. Honestly, he plays like Marlon Tuipulotu. That's kind of how I saw him, when he was coming out. Not Marlon specifically, but like that level of like, all right, like hold the point, line of scrimmage, like, that kind of player. So, I would say that matches for me.
Okay. All right, let me look through here. Let's see. All right, now I'm just going to play the read you my notes game. And if there's some subjective that comes in, it comes in. Aziz Ojulari asked to drop a couple times. Maybe not his strong suit.
Okay.
Just kind of laboring, moving backwards, I think, as you might expect. And you mentioned this on the show the other day, Fran, but as someone who really liked Ojulari coming out, you were a little bit underwhelmed with his Giants tape.
Yes, I think just like from an athleticism standpoint, like that is starting to. I think the injuries are starting to take their toll from that end of it, and so not surprising to hear that he looked a little clunky moving in reverse.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, this is mostly stuff we've gone over. Drew Mukuba working in. I was a little bit pleasantly surprised just to see Goedert here. Not necessarily any reason he needs to be here, but good on him.
Yep, agree.
One quick flash of a rep, just backing away, and it's inside, but it was probably the most burst I've ever seen from Anaya Smith. Just ran past the guy in the seam, but it looked like he was moving faster than last year.
All right, there's something.
There you go.
But I mean, honestly, like it's those kind of things that we didn't see a year ago.
Yeah,
it was notable.
I better see that. Yeah. Tariq Castro Fields, very handsy on the outside in the corner.
Oh, you were about to say very handsome.
It's hard to see with the helmet, Let's see what else we got here.
Former high school teammate of Zack McPherson, Tariq Castro Fields.
Wow, how about that? That's about. Oh, here's the other one. Kyle McCord. He's got. The ball came out quickly when I was watching. Yeah. He's got this little hitch at the top of his throwing motion that's kind of odd. It's like there's like a little bit of a hesitation. It's not a smooth throwing motion. It's like the comeback, and then there's like a bit of a crank before he lets the ball go. It's kind of weird. A little bit like Henry Rowengartner from Rookie of the Year. There's like he's cranking it back.
I won't say that's where my head went immediately when you said that, but interesting. Yeah, I wonder that could be a first time out there. Kind of.
I hope not.
Opening day jitters.
Look at just how he throws. We watched Rookie of the Year with Casey the other night.
Okay.
Getting into the Little League baseball season.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew that it was going to hit, but the pitcher's got a big butt. I mean, that slaps. That's timeless comedy that was going to hit any age.
Yeah. It's a good one. Yeah, we have not watched that yet, so that might be. I might have to get that on the hopper.
John Candy, a tour de force. He must have come in for like 2 days of filming, but crushed it when he did. Daniel Stern, I mean, what a physical comedian. We all know this, but he nails it. And Busey.
I mean,
yeah,
can't get any better.
Also, like the villainous arc of the boyfriend, Henry's mom's boyfriend.
Oh, right. Yeah.
With this this cartoonish character arc for this guy. But I mean, what a great villain.
It has been so long since I've watched that. When is the last time that you watched this movie before this?
I mean, properly watched it?
Yes. Like decades, right?
At least, yeah. I mean, it must have been 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it all comes back. Dan Hedaya is making stuff happen. The clueless owner. Good stuff.
Beautiful.
It's too bad that things, that's not an actual way to just throw the ball 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe one day someone will.
It is crazy that they let him hit.
Oh, that's the crazy part.
Kid could have died. Yeah. I mean, from a realism standpoint, it's not crazy that if a 12-year-old's throwing 100 miles an hour, he could sign a major league deal just to pitch. He can't go up to hit.
Oh, maybe he'll luck into one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Do you want to play just name a guy and see if there's anything that was interesting?
Yeah, I like that. All right, let's. All right, give me something fun. Wide receiver 45, Taylor Morin. Anything? You got anything for me?
Go Deeks. I was disappointed not to get to see him do anything. Now I did miss the very end of practice, so it's possible I missed something. But I was expecting, I want to see a very prototypical shifty white slot receiver coming in here and making stuff happen in the middle of the field. He didn't pop for me today, but long way to go.
All right. Obviously that was mostly facetious, me starting with Morin. Will Shipley.
He made a catch in the passing game, which is what you want to see. Saquon was out there, but I don't think he was, all systems go. So yeah, you want to see Shipley do some things. AJ Dillon had a catch, which, he hasn't had to do much in the NFL. And then Shunderick Powell had a catch and showing a little bit of burst in the open field, which in this setting is what you want to see from him.
Did he do enough to pop? I know that you said that on the show yesterday. Did he
too early?
Enough of a
too
pop
early.
today?
Too early. Yeah, but he made one thing happen. I think
Big Lou not out there.
Big Lou was there. Didn't do anything today.
Not emergency pod worthy.
As far as I can tell. No, not yet.
Give it time.
Okay.
You mentioned Cam Williams working third team right tackle.
Third team right tackle.
What did he look like?
Good question. I was actually now there's a little bit of distance here, but keeping in mind that he's lining up next to Miles Hinton. I mean, not Miles Hinton. Miles
Colin Pierce.
Colin Pierce. Their names are very similar, even though they're not. It's confusing. So I wasn't like, because the comparison was to another huge guy. I was expecting Cameron Williams to be like, oh man, look at this big boy. Because he's lining up next to another big boy, it didn't look that crazy. But I would say that physically, I was more first impression impressed by Miles Hinton than Cameron Williams.
Interesting. Yeah, Williams, I mean, the reason why I asked was that, I mean, his weight fluctuated so much, not even like during his career at Texas, but even during the pre-draft process.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see, like, what's he weighing?
Well, that was part of it. He looked a little bit slighter than I was expecting.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was carrying, a ton of weight.
Yeah, he let me see if I can pull my notes up real quick.
He's only listed at 317 by the team.
Right. So that's what he was listed up by the team. Yeah, because that's what he came in at the combine. But he was listed 335 last fall, and at the pro day, I know he came in bigger than 317. So it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So I think, he looked on the lighter end of those fluctuations, I would say.
Do we have a EJ Jenkins sighting?
Looked good, tall out there. Didn't make a catch that I saw. I think if we want to take a step back and just like what actually mattered today.
Yeah.
I mean, to the actual like makeup of the 2025 Eagles on the field. I mean, I kind of think the Quinyon at left corner is maybe the most interesting thing.
I agree.
And the most
That's very
significant thing.
interesting. I agree. I think that, and again, it's not even necessary. Well, I guess it could go one of two ways. Is it just going to be straight? All right, it's Quinyon, and then whoever's going to right corner is a right corner, or is it going to be something that when we get into games that we see them kind of swap back and forth the way I talked about earlier? That will be very interesting to track. They might just, hey, like
or
part of the offseason, keep him at left corner because he hasn't played there at all. Let him get his reps there and get his feet under him.
Or is it a prelude to Quinyon can follow whoever?
Right. Which, and that to me, like I think you're doing that under the idea of, okay, Quinyon's going to follow and we're going to ISO him there. And then we are always going to roll coverage the other way. I think that's because to me, I think, and I'd have to look back, and Dana might off the top of his head have a better feel on this, but in Vic's past, and this might be like a Sean Syed thing as well, is like, you roll coverage over, you're going up against the Bengals, roll coverage to Jamar Chase. So you play cover 2 technique with the corner on that side with a safety over top. And then you allow Quinyon to be matched up one-on-one to T Higgins side, like that
right.
kind of an idea. So that will be interesting to track.
Yeah. But it gives them, in theory, because, Slay didn't often do that.
No.
And so you wonder what Vic's ideal is. I mean, I think ideally he would have 2 equally awesome corners and get to keep those guys on their sides just for predictability standpoint. But it gives him some options potentially.
And then the obviously the safety rotation was big today as well. I would say that's probably the other most topical.
Yeah, but it's so early. Like
right.
It's not unexpected, and I think it is noteworthy that right now, I mean, Tyler Steen is getting the reps at right guard. Kenyon Green isn't even there. I think that that is a bit of a pole position for him. We'll see if he's able to hold on to it.
Yeah, hopefully they're outside next week. So then hopefully the weather holds up.
I know that's right. Got a playoff baseball game tonight getting rained out. What a bummer.
Yeah,
had my dad coming in and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bummer. That's all right. Let's take a quick break here from some more sponsors, and then we'll come back and talk some more ball. And then in overtime, I want to hear from Julia about camping in the wilderness for like a week. What a sicko. All right. Time to tell you about our friends. Who else? But the good people at Cherry Hill Mitsubishi. If you're looking for the most affordable 7-passenger SUV in America, the search is over because CherryHillMitsubishi.com has you covered with the 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander. And they're celebrating Memorial Day savings all month long on their massive selection of budget-friendly and gas-sipping Mitsubishis. Here's a fact that shocked me. Mitsubishi Motors is #1 in customer satisfaction with dealer services among mainstream brands and SUV owners. That's not me saying it either. That's J.D. Power. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, and we're talking 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000 miles, bumper to bumper. I mean, why settle for a lesser warranty and be on the hook for costly repairs down the road? Stop in today, tell them PHLY sent you, and you will receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Mitsubishis elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Mitsubishi today, just minutes from all bridges, or available 24/7 online at cherryhillmitsubishi.com.
Look, if you are a longtime listener, longtime viewer of the show, maybe not even long time, maybe you've just been listening for the last few weeks, you are well aware of everything that goes into Parx Casino, right? We know that it's close to everywhere and anywhere. We know all the great acts, all the great performers, entertainers that come through the Excite Center. We've heard ZB rattle off entertainer after entertainer, the people that pique his interest that will be making their presence felt in Bucks County, just outside of Philadelphia. But what about the BetParx online casino. Because what I love is the BetParx app. All the games that you love to play in person at Parx Casino. You got the pop culture slots, you've got roulette, you've got cards and dice games and more. They can all be played right on your mobile device on the BetParx app. Parx Online Casino has the games you love, whether you're at home or on the go. Download the BetParx app and create an account today to receive an offer that you cannot pass up. New users are eligible to receive up to $1,000 back if you are down in the first 24 hours after signing up. BetParx Online Casino is available to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Michigan residents. Terms and conditions apply. Parx Casino, this is how you win. Must be 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And you're going to want to read about what happened today. I'm sure Zach's going to have all kinds of practice notes. I believe that our good friend Les Bowen is going to write about Kevin Patullo and the journey ahead for the new offensive coordinator. Do you know, Fran, that the Eagles haven't had an offensive coordinator last more than 3 seasons since Pat Shurmur? Long time coming. Well, you can all read all of that stuff if you become a diehard. And now's the time to do it. We're talking a intro offer for $36 for the whole year. The Die Hard Summer Flash Sale is live now. That's more than 50% off your 1 year for Die Hard access. And when you become a Die Hard, you get 20% off events, 20% off merchandise, exclusive content. That's the most important thing. Plus a free shirt when you sign up. So again, $36 Die Hard Summer Flash Sale is live now. Visit allphly.com/intro to become a Die Hard today. Okay. You got any OTA memories, Fran, that are interesting to you? I'll think of mine that came to mind while you think.
Okay.
Because being in the bubble, specifically in the bubble memory, is Paul Warlow suffering a torn ACL.
Yeah,
and it was it's just like the cruelty of this game, this profession that these men dedicate their lives to. And this is a guy who's been trying to hang on, and he's just, he's writhing on the ground in pain. You know that he has realized in May that his season is over, potentially his career is over at that age of, and he was like working with the twos at that point, had a chance to maybe make the roster. And then it's just like, okay, he gets off the field, back to business. Here we go. It's just, it's a cruel game these guys play. It's very gut wrenching.
Yeah, that is certainly a memorable one. For me, and honestly, it's not, this one even predates, my time like being at OTAs. But I remember the palpable buzz created from the Lorenzo Booker spring, which I believe you were there, right? 2010?
I wasn't there. That was the year before me, I believe. I think it was 2009.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I was working with Temple at the time. And I remember, like Booker, former Florida State back, like this guy's electric. What could he be? Could he be like Brian Westbrook? And the buzz that was created that spring, and obviously that did not work out. I mean, ZB referenced it yesterday on the show, but I remember because honestly, you brought up the question at the beginning of the show was like the guys who you just know right away, I don't know if this guy's got it. I remember Donnell Pumphrey's first spring being like, I don't know if because a guy that small to just not have it on the grass, in space, on air. That was a troublesome week.
Well said. Did you happen to catch the Kevin Patullo press conference?
I followed along on social. I didn't watch it yet, but I was following along some of the big takeaways there. What was your, I guess, biggest takeaway from the presser?
Well, I think my biggest takeaway was, and I mean, Lord knows, having been through the arc of the Nick Sirianni experience, that an introductory press conference or press conference performance has absolutely no correlation with how good of a coach you are. But I would say for his first press conference as a guy who hasn't been an NFL coordinator before, I thought Kevin Patullo was very comfortable. And I thought he did a good job up on the podium answering questions. I know that there's a friend of ours who's gonna be making fun of me for this, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, but I thought it was pretty comfortable up there. The things that he was hanging on, are the kinds of things that you would hope that any coach would say. And that's, players, not plays, right? What do I do to get the players in the best position? And I know that is coach speak, and it doesn't mean anything about what the offense is going to look like or how he's going to do in terms of calling games, in-game situations. But I do think from the Eagles roster standpoint, like if you're Howie Roseman, that's what you would want to hear. Like I have given you this incredible array of talent offensively. Why don't you just figure out what they do best and not worry about, out scheming everybody necessarily. But I think there have been times when this offense maybe could have used a little bit more scheming. I
would say too, when I think of like, all right, like if you want to go like, tinfoil hat on it, what did we say? Like, last year that offense with Kellen Moore was very like quick game focused, right? Like ball out fast, kind of read it out. They're running double slant and like a 3-man like snag concept to the left with double slant to the right. And it's up to Jalen. Like, all right, where am I starting? Read this out, ball out quick, timing, precision. Like that was how that was set up. And that is not necessarily like Jalen's strength. Like a lot of his best plays are more like, all right, like let's cut this loose. Let's, the downfield throws down, vertically in that part of the field. I kind of wonder, maybe you lean into that more, a little bit more. If you say like, all right, like we want to put our guys in position to do what they do best. And that was one of my big takeaways, just kind of going through, like, to your point, he's saying like, I want to put our guys in position to make plays. I know like just that could be an area where they could kind of flex that muscle a little bit more often in 2025. Yeah. If there's one thing I would like to see added to this offense relative to last year, it is some more shots downfield. Yeah. So I hope that is true. We sort of knew this about the arc of his career, but he did shout out Chan Gailey as the guy who really helped him formulate the way that he thinks about coaching and his offensive philosophy. That's who he started with. He told the fun story of when they were with Kansas City, they suffer all these quarterback injuries, and I remember this from when I was a kid when they had that string of Tyler Thigpen games where the offense was moving the ball. And he was like a really fun player to watch, super athletic. And he said the way that the story of that is like they suffered all these injuries. They come in to work on Monday morning or whatever it is, and the whiteboard is completely gone. It's completely fresh. And Chan says like, all right, how we gotta install a brand new offense for this guy. And the lesson there being players, not plays, right? Like we gotta do what we can do to put the players and what they do best into the right position. What do you know of? Because when I think of a Chan Gailey offense, it's nothing like what I've seen from the Eagles offense. I'm thinking about kind of like the Tyler Thigpen offense, like a quarterback inclusive run game. He's talking, Patullo mentioned they were running pistol when nobody in the NFL was running pistol back then. What comes to mind from a Chan Gailey offense perspective to you? Yeah, from my memory, it was very like ball out fast, yards after catch, space. You mentioned like the pistol, like the misdirection element, and this was like latter stages of Chan Gailey's career as a play caller in the NFL. But I think the big thing was, all right, we're gonna move guys around, find ways to get them the ball fast and let them create after the catch. That's kind of what I think of, when I think of Chan Gailey. But also that you can kind of look at that as like hey, like lean into what our guys do best, kind of thought process. So those are that. I would say that's the first thing that pops in my head with Chan Gailey. And then in terms of the press conference polish, there were a couple little landmines that he avoided well, I thought. One on Jalen, gave a good answer on Jalen. He's always willing to learn more. He said we had a practice yesterday, and he's always willing to try new stuff. And then we come back and talk about it and figure out all that stuff. Good answer on Jalen. And then he was asked about. I think this was in response to my question. I was asking just like, you've been preparing for this job forever, right? Like, what are the things that you wrote down to yourself to like, keep yourself grounded, or like what are the things that you wanted to emphasize? And he said like lean on your coaches, right? Like they're here for a reason. And he goes, we've got the best offensive line coach in football, and you could end it there. You could say like that's true. Everybody knows that Jeff Stoutland is the best offensive line coach in football. Nobody would probably take offense to that, but he didn't snub anybody necessarily. He goes,
Oh, and we've got the best tight ends coach in football, the best wide receivers coach in football, the best running backs coach in football. And now he leaves off Leffler, which is good because then he's locked. Like, we don't know how Scott Leffler compares to the NFL in terms of quarterbacks coach. He's worked with the other guys, so at least that's coming from a place of experience. I would be surprised, though, Fran, if all 4 of those guys are the best position coaches at their respective positions.
Yeah, I would say chances are slim that is actually the case if you were to power rank it.
How would you power rank the likelihood for the other 3, for Jason Michael, Jamal Singleton, and Aaron Moorhead?
Singleton's up there for me. Yeah, I think with what he has done at running back over the last couple of years, it's not just like, oh yeah, like Saquon last year. It's like what he did with DeAndre Swift the year before, or what he did with Miles Sanders over the course of his career. I think Jamal Singleton absolutely could be on there. I think Jason Michael has a really long track record as well at tight end.
Very overqualified at tight end. I think Jason Michael does a very good job. Yeah.
So probably go that order.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a good group. It's a good staff, and you go defense as well. That group we talked about how strong that staff was last year.
Okay, well said. I feel like I say "well said" too often.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
it's a crutch. It's a bit of a crutch at the end of somebody else's response. I need to call myself out on it. I got to come up with some new phrases.
It's fair. The quality control. You QC yourself.
There we go. What are you up to these days?
I watched a South Carolina safety this morning, Jalen Kilgore. I am going through. I've got my tight ends sheet about ready to format, so I'll be able to start watching tight ends. I got safeties ready to roll, so I'm we're flying along. We're going along.
This is supposed to be a good tight end class.
There's some guys to get excited about. The Oregon kid, Farouk, Farouk, I believe, looked.
Farouk Aminu.
Yeah, looked really explosive when I watched his like big plays in the passing game before I did that mock draft last month. So yeah, but I'm just getting the sheet ready, and I think I'm 20 players down. So the 2026 guide, we're moving along.
Love it. Well said. We have some super chats to get to. Now, I believe we dropped the ball yesterday. I think we maybe missed 2 super chats.
Claire, not happy, rightfully so.
Inexcusable. Absolutely no excuse. I got to do a better job. I gotta get to the bottom of how that could happen. That's absolutely on me. And I apologize to the listeners who forked over their hard-earned money. Maybe I can sneak you a picture of Zach on the slide or something like that when he's not paying attention, and that can be how we make it worth your while. But we do have some super chats today. Rich Bobby, always love the Yeti. Hashtag warms my heart. This was a gift from Rich Bobby those years ago at a Birds with Friends meetup. So yeah, still going strong. Still the go-to for keeping that coffee hot, baby. And then Polar Jam says, Ospreys update, please and thanks.
Huge topic in the chat the last 2 days.
And I will give you an answer in overtime. And the answer is, I don't have a final answer for you just yet. Just know that we are efforting. Actually, after this show is over, I'm going to talk to Julia. I have a date to propose to her to make sure it works for everybody involved. And the news is that this will be an event that sickos can attend live. And the hook will be that the show, the Ospreys, will not be live. So if you want to see the Ospreys before everybody else, you got to see it in person. Otherwise, it will then be on the show a couple days later. So, big hook.
Wow.
Ospreys in person. I cannot tell you where. I cannot tell you when just yet. But
it's getting worked.
It's happening.
I love the idea that if you want to get there, if you want to get it right away, you got to be there live, so it won't be streamed. But it's gonna be a fun event. Can it top last year's Ospreys though?
I mean, the debut of Fran Duffy, the announcement of the third man. I mean, how could that possibly be tough?
Something tells me you've got something up your sleeve to top it.
I mean, I have nothing yet, but I will have to try to. I know I'm going to need some time to prep that stuff. So we'll see. Julia, are you there?
I am here. Well, I didn't mean to be in the center.
You deserve to be in the center. You're coming off of a bit of a rumspringa, or I don't know what exactly this was.
I don't know.
Like you did your own Burning Man. What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't really know how to fully describe it because I've been to like music festivals before, but this was like a whole other level. So good friends of mine go to these like mini burns every year. That's what they're called, mini burns, and they have a themed whole themed campsite. So camp field tripping. So we were invited as Dwayne and I were invited as their virgins is what we're called. So someone who's never been to a burn before is called a virgin.
Now it's starting to sound like Midsommar.
Yeah. It's like they follow the 10 principles of like the Burning Man rule, which I didn't know one of, but I learned some of them. But it's just like an art community where everyone is just like super welcoming and just in this huge field. But the group that we camped with goes all out. So like they had a giant stage, DJs all night. Like, so there is some music, but it's mainly like art events that you can go and like participate in, like making like a wind chime, or like there's all sorts of different things that people in each theme camp like put on. And there's like food events and there's a bar. So it all depends on like what you want. If you just want to go and camp on your own with your small there was children there. Also like nudity was allowed. It was wild. It was.
Now I'm interested. Let's talk hygiene first.
Okay. So
what was the situation?
There was very little of it. So no showers, no running water.
And you were there for how long?
We got there Wednesday and we left Monday. And then we went to like an Airbnb, like to decompress Monday night and Tuesday. So, but nice. I invested heavily I have great recommendations for like full body, like shower wipes that worked really well. The first 2 days we were there, it was raining. So it was raining during our entire setup. So we had to set up our tent in the rain. Everything was just drenched. It was then raining in our tent for like a whole day because it was just the residual from like the rain guard was not strong enough. So yeah, it got a little ripe, but the body wipes were. Was it just
you and Dwayne in a tent, or was it like many people in a tent?
No, so Dwayne and I we brought our 10-person tent, but it was only us. So we had like a separator. Actually, we were going to do it's kind of top secret. It will be released one day, but it was kind of, think of MTV Cribs, but like the tent version that we're going to do next year, because now we're just burners now. So we're going to do it next year where it's like a tour of the tent.
You're hooked. This was not a one-off for you. This was we're going to be doing it again.
I think so. I don't know if I can commit to like all of the ones they do throughout the year, but like definitely this one. And like we had enough room where.
What hooked you in? Was it the nudity?
That was a small part of it. No pun intended.
Oh, tough for that guy.
No. I think it was just the atmosphere. And like once the weather cleared up, it was just like the landscape was just staring out, and it was just beautiful. And everyone's just like so kind and welcoming. And it was just a lot of fun just to like camp and hang out with friends.
Best thing you ate while camping?
That's the thing, is like we didn't eat a lot. We were like we brought a lot of our own like ready-made food. So like Dwayne made this like bean and pasta salad. They had a grilled cheese stand where one of the camps called Flake.
Gluten-free?
Gluten-free. And they had a vegan version too. And they ran out of bread, but they still had gluten-free bread. So that was like, that was amazing. It was like the best grilled cheese I've had maybe ever.
Beautiful.
It was great. But we were very prepared, and we had enough of everything. Our tent was pretty ridiculous. It had all the amenities. So we were basically like glamping.
Now, how good was that first shower?
The best I've ever had, I think. It was, yeah. It's like, I didn't want to be like the one that was taking too long in the shower, but I was just like,
Matt Ilari pointed out in the chat correctly, I should say, that no showers. For that reason, ZB is out.
Yeah. Oh, speaking
That's
of.
for sure. Yeah.
Speaking of.
All right. Zach.
Sounds like a tough act to follow right now. all I caught was like the best shower I ever had, which
you missed the nudity.
Finally
yes, staying away from that one.
That's true. You'll listen back and you'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. Do you have any questions for Julia about her camping session?
Oh, I have so many questions for Julia about our camping session. But I don't want to repeat what's already been discussed, so I will listen back and I can follow up tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, being a reporter and being someone who is not nearly as cool as Julia, like for 25 years now has been the case. I have so many questions about what that's been like. Yeah,
I'll be here for a follow-up.
How drug heavy was this event?
I think as heavy as you wanted it to be. Yeah, there was all wide range.
Okay.
Yeah, but then also family-friendly events. So it kind of it ran the gamut because it was, kids running around, and then it was all just, it's radical self-expression is one of the things, and you just, you do you.
And was Aaron Rodgers there?
No, thank God. I would have had a
actually.
worse
CDP wants to know if Bryce Huff was there.
No, he was not there.
That would explain his absence.
No one knows where he is.
All right, thank you, Julia, very much.
Yep. Any follow-up questions I can handle tomorrow?
Yeah, any follow-ups? Please let us know in the comments. Yep. Zach, who did you talk to?
It was a good day here. Spoke to Dallas Goedert.
Ooh,
yeah. Spoke to Cooper DeJean. Spoke to Jalen Hunt, and spoke to Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay. I think you know where we got to start here. Give us the full Dallas Goedert roundup. Yeah.
Yeah. So he arrives and he makes, as he's sitting up there on the stage, and he makes the joke that you guys can't get, I'm still here, you can't get rid of me. He was pretty honest that there were times.
Who does that remind you of, Zach or Fran? This is a different situation, but this was the year when the Eagles almost traded up for Marcus Mariota, and they were trying really hard to. The next morning, Sam Bradford shows up to work and walks into the cafeteria, and there's 4 people there, but he at the top of his lungs is like, "I'm still here."
Yeah,
most personality he ever showed.
Yeah, so Dallas Goedert was pretty honest about how this went. There were times this offseason when he didn't know if he was going to get traded, if he didn't know he was going to get released. There were times when he thought about what it would be like to have a fresh start somewhere else, or kind of start over somewhere else. He was not here for the beginning of OTAs while this was getting sorted out. So we can kind of read between the lines that, or it's probably the offseason. He said OTAs, the offseason program is, I assume, what he meant, that the draft was a big impetus there. He said that he communicated, what he wanted to his agent, how he was very respectful to him about it. That's why he has an agent for a reason. So I asked a follow-up question, what is it that you wanted? And he said that he signed a good contract, and there was, a number in mind that he would be okay to stay for. Obviously, he wants to get, his worth, if you will. And eventually, there sounded like there were times when that number that the Eagles wanted might not have been the number that Goedert wanted, and they eventually reached a compromise. He's just kind of viewing it like, he's happy to be here this year. He didn't want to kind of speak beyond this year. I asked him if there was ever a point when he requested a trade or requested a release. He said that did not happen. So he did not formally request a trade or a release. He didn't know all the dynamics. There were times when he thought he wasn't going to be back, right? And teams were brought up to him that, or different trade scenarios were brought up to him. but he's happy to be here with this team, with this offense. Didn't know much about Josh Sweat's situation last year. He said he knew more about Avonte Maddox's situation and kind of spoke to Avonte about what Avonte went through. And, it sounds like that was something that Dallas was thinking about. What are the opportunities elsewhere? What's the opportunity here? I appreciated him being honest about it and explaining all that went on in the process. It was kind of portrayed as like it wasn't publicly acrimonious. I imagine behind the scenes it wasn't always harmonious, but he's here and he acknowledged that he's happy to be here with this team.
If you can be subjective here, would you characterize him as disappointed, excited, a little bit sheepish, a little bit embarrassed that he had to come back on a pay cut? How would you characterize?
Good question, Bo.
His emotions.
I wouldn't say sheepish. I wouldn't say embarrassed. I don't think he was overly excited. I think it was kind of like very professional. That's the way I would explain it. As if he said he's had 7 off seasons in the NFL. He's never had to deal with this before, right? So I think it was that point that everyone in the NFL at some point goes through, and that in other lines of work people go through when he was very much introduced to the business side of the league. It's kind of like when a baseball player goes to arbitration, right? And you're like, well, how much do they actually like me? I think that was kind of, if you read between the lines, and like different reporters seem to have different interpretations of it, because he was asked at one point, like, how important was it for you that you guys always remained a good, like this was never personal, that kind of thing. I mean, I kind of interpret it like Dallas got exposed to what the other side was going to be, right? And saw that there could be a trade, that there could be a release. He had to consider what his career would be elsewhere, and he eventually found a compromise here. He said he didn't want to take a pay cut. Now, ultimately, he did take a pay cut here, but my read on it, and this is kind of an informed read, is I think the number that he eventually signed for, or that he returned for, was not the number that the Eagles had in mind at the start of this offseason, right? So my guess is after the draft, the Eagles probably moved a bit on their side, and they were able to reach a compromise there. I don't know if the Eagles would have had that number before the draft. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the sense that I got.
And was there any talk, I don't know if he was asked this, of making this more than a 1-year situation?
He was asked about if he thinks about staying here beyond this season. And he says he's not thinking that far right now. He says he's just he's happy to be here, with these guys, with the team. So that's the way that he is approaching it. So it very much sounds like he's viewing this as a 1-year situation, and then he gets a chance to hit the open market next offseason. He said he was in contact with Jalen throughout the process. He said him and Howie were very professional about this. So, I would characterize it as professional more than anything else.
All right, Cooper DeJean, the most important question. Was he asked about the exciting mics?
It was referenced your podcast, the charity work you've done. You've been around town, the podcast. He smiled when the podcast came up. He said that he hasn't changed, but a lot's changed around him this offseason. And that he is he spoke quite a bit. He was getting a lot of questions about this newfound fame. And he said he hasn't changed. He said he tries to keep a low profile. That's really hard to do. So he acknowledged that. Now, candidly, I don't know how low a profile he's keeping. He seems to be everywhere. But he should. He's 22 years old and he just won the Super Bowl. He had an interception, a pick six in the Super Bowl. Live it up, man. Enjoy it. And he seems to be doing so. And once a week appear on the exciting mics that you can find on PHLY and All City. So that's pretty cool as well. There were a lot of questions about outside versus slot. And he said Vic spoke to him about, playing on the outside and base downs. He doesn't want to come off the field. I asked him long term, where does he want to play? Does he want a chance to play on the outside? He said he wants to play football. He wants to be on the field. As long as he's on the field, he's happy. So I don't think he'd be thrilled if he's like not on the field and base. I don't know how much they play base, right? But I do know how much they play base. I don't know how much they're going to play base this year, but he wants to be on the field. He articulated that. He was asked the question about the business side of it, like the contract disparity between the outside corners and the slot corners. And he said that he's not thinking that far right now. He just wants to play football. He wants to be on the field. And that's the way he is looking at it.
Quinyon Mitchell, Zach, to me, as Fran and I discussed, I think this was maybe the most interesting thing that we saw today was Quinyon Mitchell working on the left side, not the right side. What did he say about that?
Yeah, that came up. He said it's not a big deal. He has experience at both. He's practicing. He's practicing both. He said eventually he wants to get to the point where he's like traveling with receivers. He was asked that question. But he said right now he's just doing whatever's best for the team. But yeah, he spoke about learning how to play both sides. That is something that came up. I asked Quinyon about the Super Bowl parade. It was the first time we spoke to him since then, and
he doesn't remember that.
I asked him what he remembers from the experience or the videos that he saw from that day. And he said it was a lot of fun. He's just going to leave it at that, or that's all he's going to say on that. So I certainly, it wasn't meant to be a gotcha question. I was trying to get some personality from Quinyon. Yeah. But he did not want to speak much about his Super Bowl. I would say you're 23 years old. You just won the Super Bowl. There's a parade. Live it up, man. Enjoy it. Nothing wrong with that. Be like Bo Wulf. Be like Julia at the,
I knew that was coming.
The camping site. Yeah. Live it up. And then Alex Hunt, he says he's a lot more comfortable this year. Spoke about that. He's not just like a cookie cutter out there. He can show some personality because of the comfort that he has. I asked him if he expects to start. He says he expects to have whatever role they want of him. So he did not want to go into that. But his main message was how much different year 2 is compared to year 1.
Got it. Fran, anything to add? I'm sorry that we've been keeping you here in the middle of the screen without anything to say.
No, it's this has been good. I was glad that Zach was able to jump on to give some color because I was like following along Zach on your on social just as I was like, oh, another guy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're able to sneak on before the end of the show.
Absolutely, yeah, it was fun. It was it's always good when you get newsy players. Like I appreciated Dallas Goedert speaking. I appreciated the Eagles bringing him out. And yeah, it was nice. It was nice to speak to him.
Will you be writing off of this?
Yeah, there's so much to write. I'll probably write off of practice, right? And then I can follow up with some stuff from the players. I have a lot of stuff from the players from the past, from last week, from this week. I do want to do one of those, like, at the end of the offseason, 30 things we learned this spring, or 50. I think I did 50 things we learned this spring last summer. So I'll probably do that. I did in 2 parts last year. I'm thinking about doing 5 parts this year. Spread that out, right? Like, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And that
gaming the system like a pro.
You drop that over 3 weeks during those summer months. Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing that. But certainly I will write about practice, and I'll listen on the way home to hear what Bo saw, because I can incorporate. I mean, I say this in earnest. Bo is an astute observer of practice, so eager to hear Bo's impressions as well.
Good to know. People have been curious about the setting that you're in, the dark setting. It makes sense that you are inside Ernest. That's why it's so dark.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the room you're in than this room here. If I'm being honest, I don't know. There is no urine in this room. The room you are in. The room you are in, not you. I don't even think the room you're in. Whatever. One other thing I want to say, I apologize if this has been brought up or not, but Brandon Graham was named the recipient of the Pro Football Writers of America's Good Guy Award. Okay, given to a player in the NFL, so not Philly, the NFL, who kind of has the professionalism, helps the media do their job. So congratulations to Brandon Graham for winning that award. The third Eagle to win it during the past 5 years, or 6 years. Chris Long won it twice, back-to-back years. Jason Kelsey won it, and Brandon Graham won it. So I look forward to presenting Brandon with a trophy that will arrive at my house that will be bigger than the trophy that Jordan Mailata received. I can promise you that. So whenever I see Brandon at the facility, we got to arrange a presentation.
There's actually a quote here in the press release for this, Fran,
Yes.
that might interest you. I will read this to you. It says, "For a chunk of Brandon Graham's 15 years with the Eagles, he would playfully tease reporters at the end of media availability by shouting, 'Locker room's closed!' and follow it with his trademark laugh. The shame for reporters is they will no longer hear that from Graham anymore. His honesty, enthusiasm, and accessibility helped reporters do their job." This, according to Zack Berman, the PFWA Philadelphia chapter president who covers the Eagles for PHLY. He continues, "In both his introduction with the team and his retirement ceremony, Graham went around the room and embraced every reporter, a sign of his professional respect. But that within itself does not make him the recipient of this award. Graham's perspective was shaped by being a first-round pick on the verge of being cut to becoming one of the most iconic players in franchise history with a game-clinching sack and the Super Bowl to show for it, and he used that perspective to offer unique insight. He was always available, no matter the outcome, and he recognized the jobs of the reporters who came through the locker room. He built meaningful relationships and made time even with seemingly endless demands. If this award is meant for someone with the qualities and professional style in helping pro football writers do their jobs, the award could just as soon be named after him."
You know what? I always resent like press release quotes that I feel like there's no way that person would say it. So when the Pro Football Writers Association asks me to give a quote, I want to give a quote like how I would say it and that or how I would write it, probably. But that is that. So I try to give like a not something you'd find on ChatGPT, something that is from the heart. And so that's
Oh,
that's
good.
what I'm saying.
Anti-AI from you. I like that,
Yeah,
Zach. We're
look at
finally
that.
starting to see it creep in. All right.
Oh, I mean, look, you ask my students at Colorado State, there is a no ChatGPT policy and there is a ChatGPT detector. And if they get, if that thing's over 50% detection, they get 0 on the assignment. So yeah, you got to use your words, right? That's like plagiarism if you're just taking it from ChatGPT.
Well, in fact, AI itself is nothing but plagiarism.
I'm okay if like you use it the way you use Google, and if you want to find the recipe for something and you ask a prompt, but you can't take the work of something else and pawn it off as your own.
The recipe is not important because the oven does most of the work anyway.
Always good for a callback, my man.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, congrats to Brandon Graham. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And it tells you how much of a power player Zack Berman is in the PFWA that the Eagles have had such a run of success in this award. I mean, the sway that you carry 4 in 7 years or whatever it is. I mean, we got a head honcho.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case. I got to say, they send the awards to my house and then I have to present them. And there was one year when Howie won the Executive of the Year award. Bo remembers this. And Howie didn't want me to present it at all. It was like, I gave it to him at the practice field. He probably put it down next to the tackling sled. I was like, so hopefully.
I actually remember this. He gave it to Bryce.
Oh,
he handed it to Bryce and said, put this in my office. And very as if Bryce was like his secretary.
But no, it is cool. It's a prestigious thing voted upon by people around the country. And so whenever Eagles win it, maybe there'll be another Eagle who wins an award someday. So we'll see.
There you go. All right. Fun, news-filled show. Good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow at 2:00 and also Friday at 2:00. Some moving pieces, just like the Eagles secondary, about what tomorrow's show is going to look like. But maybe Fran, maybe Deniz, maybe both, maybe neither. Definitely Zach, definitely myself. We will see you then. Thanks to Julia for making it happen. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.